for WDW Bound, and today we're going to talk about Genie Plus. Now, we're not really here to tell you exactly how it works. Other channels are going to go far more in depth on that.
Yeah.
We just kind of want to give you a rundown and our opinions, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so give us a rundown.
So the rundown is essentially what they've done, excuse me, is if you combined the a la carte lightning lanes from Disneyland Paris and the Max Pass that existed already in Disneyland, it is a amalgamation, a combination of those two. So there are going to be specific rides that you have to pay a la carte, so individually, to access the lightning lane, which is what used to be Fast Pass. So Fast Pass and Fast Pass Plus, whatever, no longer exists. It's all just lightning lane. It's convoluted, but there you go. So there are going to be 2 rides. They've released the ones that are going to be a la carte. So there's going to be 2 rides per park that are going to be a la carte or standby only, right, except for Remy's, which is going to be either virtual queue or the a la carte. And then everything else is included in the cost of Genie Plus.
All right, so Genie Plus is $15 per person or per ticket per day.
Per day.
And it travels with you from park to park if you park hop.
Yes.
And so that gets you, say, a lightning lane for Splash Mountain.
Yep.
Or Haunted Mansion.
Yep.
And so that's all included. And how many times can you go through the lightning lane per day? Once?
So you can, if it's not one of those a la cartes, you can go through as many times as you want. I'm pretty sure. You might have to look that up.
I'm gonna look that up later.
But I know that you can do, it's an unlimited lightning lane access for everything but those a la carte. So my experience when I was in Disneyland was I got into the park, got my first Fast Pass, this would be lightning lane. And then as soon as I redeemed it, I was able to go onto the app and get my very next one. Mm-hmm. So I literally got a Fast Pass, quote unquote, for Haunted Mansion at 9 a.m. As soon as I redeemed it, swiped it in the queue for Haunted Mansion, I was able to go on there and get my next one. And this is going to be very similar to that, except the difference is you don't have to physically be in the park to get your first one. So you could be anywhere as long as you have a park reservation or a park ticket. I don't know if reservations are going to continue, for however long.
Forever, yeah.
But as long as you have access to that park on that day and you have Genie Plus, as early as 7 a.m., you can get your first lightning lane pass to once you actually get into the park. So say the park opens at 8, so at 7, you can get your first reservation for the lightning lane at 8 o'clock, 8:05, whatever, and go ahead and start out the gate, getting in the lightning lane. I'm gonna have a really hard time. Yeah, I'm gonna have a really hard time not calling it Fast Pass. But it's essentially unlimited, so you can do as many. And I know in Disneyland you could do the same ride multiple times because I did it. Because I did the Incredicoaster twice. Okay,
so I think the reason I was confused on that part is because I'm comparing it to the Express Lane in Universal, which you don't have to make a reservation for. You just go through the line if you've added it to your ticket. So in those, I think you can only use once.
Is it? I don't know.
On the regular one, I think. Maybe on the Express Unlimited, you can do whatever or whatever. But anyway, that's too convoluted. But I think that's where my confusion was coming from. So for $15, I can ride basically as many Fast Passes as I can get in a particular park or across parks, as from the time it opens until the time it closes.
Yep.
And then you have the a la carte options, like you said, Remy's and Rise of Resistance, for example. Those will cost more, anywhere from $7 to $15, and it also depends on how busy the day is as to how much it costs. Like on one day it might cost $9, the next day it might cost $11.
I think what I read was the minimum was $7 and the max was $15, I think. So personally, I don't think I will ever use the a la carte. There's not enough to where I could justify spending an extra $15 just to have access to that ride. Because Rise of the Resistance, you can always rope drop it.
Yep.
There's no more virtual queue, so you can always rope drop it. Or wait until 15 minutes before the park closes and hop in line when everybody's already gone. They're already moving out of the park. And if it's right at the end of the day, hop in that line. As long as you're in that line before the park closes, you're guaranteed access to that ride. So I just don't see myself using it.
The only time, again, that I can kind of see us doing it is in December when we go with mom and dad. And, you know, as they've gotten older and have more like problems standing in line, then I can see us doing it for Rise of the Resistance, because really that's the only big ride that they're super interested in. Maybe Flight of Passage, we can talk about it. But that's really the only time that I can really see myself using it. Again, I'm looking at it from the perspective of someone who goes often, but I can see how this would be a draw for someone. This is their one trip for the next 10 years. Yeah. And I want to make sure that I get on it, and I am willing to spend however much money, you know, that I have available and have budgeted for this trip to make it the perfect trip.
But I feel like that's almost counterintuitive though, because I think about like people who they only get to go to Disney like one time in their entire lives.
Right.
And Disney is already expensive enough as it is. So if you're a family that has to save up 2 or 3 years in advance for this trip, I feel like it's punishing those people that can't go as frequently, because if you're going to maximize your time in the park, here, let me have $60 more a day for your family of 4, just so you can experience the park, because you already can't afford to come as often as everybody else. And so I don't feel like that's necessarily fair.
I don't disagree. Yeah. I think that frequent park goers are not Disney's ideal guest, because we don't spend as much money, and we are like, well, that's fine. I didn't ride Rise this time. I'll ride it next time.
Yeah.
So we are not the guest that Disney is that stressed out about in general. But those people who have saved up for 5 years, they're going to look at it as, I've already budgeted this much money. What's another $60? Or also, what was that thing that you said, like the Black Friday syndrome, right? You're in the park and you're like, I really want to ride this. I don't want to wait an hour. My kid is fussy.
Yeah.
It's worth $60 for me.
Yeah.
So I'm not as upset about this as a lot of people are.
Yeah.
For me, I was not a Fast Pass fan. I didn't mind, I'm a planner, so I didn't mind getting up, super early or staying up super late and planning out my Fast Passes and getting my days and learning how to optimize. I liked figuring out the system, you know? But this past year and a half has been so nice.
Yeah.
When things have been standby queue only, to not have to wait as they wave Fast Pass groups through, I've really gotten spoiled to that.
Yeah.
So I think would have been more upset if they had gone back to the traditional Fast Pass system, rather than now, capitalism, whatever. They're taking this opportunity to make more money, whatever. Every other theme park in the world has a paid Fast Pass system.
Yeah. And I will say, I will give Disney a plus for this, because it is the least expensive. Like, people always compare Universal to Disney. Like, those are the two major competing parks in Orlando, because there's Busch Gardens and SeaWorld, but it is not on the same level as that competition. And Universal's Express Pass is stupid expensive.
Like, on a good day, it's $100.
It's like, it's as much, if not more, than a standard park ticket. And so that's why we've only done it one time in however many trips that we've done to Universal, because it is stupid expensive.
Yes.
And it isn't even used for their most recent new attraction. Like, it doesn't count for...
or Hagrid's or...
Yeah, or Velocicoaster just opened. So it doesn't even work for that. So you're paying $120 for Express Pass. Now, granted, I think it's unlimited. I don't know. And it's not like where you have a specific time that you have to go back like Fast Pass was. But this is literally half the cost of that. So I've stewed on it since they released it yesterday. And so realizing that, I'm like, I don't love it. It's not going to be for me. But comparing Universal to Disney for their Express Pass system, this is the least expensive option. But I think I'm also torn because I'm like, a lot of people don't use the Express Pass at Universal because it's stupid expensive. So it keeps the standard queue moving.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. If we had gone back to the traditional Fast Pass system where everybody who walks in the door gets 3 more after your first 3, then that's what clogs up the line.
Yeah. But I also have concerns that because it is half the cost of
more people
may use it because it's, especially if you're one of those people that doesn't have kids or you're the annual pass holder who goes multiple times during the week and, $15 is nothing. $15 is a hot dog.
Yeah.
I
never thought of it that way.
It's a hamburger. Like it's
a meal.
It's a meal.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so like if you're just one person, like that's why it didn't bother me when I paid $10 for Max Pass in Disneyland. Because I was like, that's the cost of a Dole Whip and a drink. Like it's a drop in the bucket.
Legitimately, I probably will use it at some point. I can see if Christopher and I were going down without the kids, short weekend, $30 a day is
that's
worth
true.
it.
Yeah.
To maximize our time there. Like I said, I'm not upset with Disney for adding a paid Fast Pass option, paid Lightning Lane, whatever. I'm not. People keep saying, well, Disney's just maximizing their dollar, or this is just another way that the super rich are going to have a great trip, as us poor plebeians are just going to have to stand in the line. But I feel like even on the days that I don't add Disney Genie Plus to my park ticket, it will still result in me having shorter wait times than I would have had previously. You can see the difference. Think back to when Pandora first opened and Flight of Passage opened, or Frozen Ever After, and there were 4 to 6 hour waits for those attractions, which included Fast Pass. Now think back to a month ago when Rise of the Resistance let go of its virtual queue and it went as standby only. I've not once seen it over 90 minutes.
Yeah, but they're also, I would say that they're limiting capacity, but those days they're not hitting capacity.
Right.
Like they're not running out of park reservations. Right. So I'm with you. Like I'm not an advocate of everybody getting fast passes because I think it does create.
I think it makes a worse park experience for everybody.
Everybody. Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
I would be happy with no Lightning Lane. I would be happy with no paid option at all. But because like I said, this past year and a half of, the wait time is 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And it actually being 15 or 20, has been really nice.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm still torn with, it's nice to have it and it's going to be a higher cost. So not everybody's going to use it, which keeps the line down. But again, I just go back to that. Like I think about the families that can't afford to go all the time. And I'm like, day tickets already cost $100 a day.
Right.
They're never less than $100. And then that's not even with Park Hopper. You're going to add probably $30 to $60 per ticket.
$65 per day for Park Hopper.
For Park Hopper. So that's an extra cost. You're getting
close
to
$20 to park.
And then $20 to park. And then you have to pay on top of that another $30
But you don't have to.
But if you're going to, say in the scenario of this is your once in a lifetime trip, and because you can't afford to go every year or every couple of years, and this is the only time you're ever going to get to go, so you're already spending so much, and then you just add that on top of it to be able to get the full experience. I just feel like it's a lot of nickel and diming.
Yeah.
For those families that don't get to go all the time.
But I'm glad to know that if they opt not to, that their park experience will not be worse for not having done it.
Yeah.
That's what I come back to.
Yeah.
There's nothing more frustrating. Like I think when we waited in line for Flight of Passage for 3 hours when it broke down.
Yeah.
And then that night we got to go back and it was still on and off and on and off. And as they were escorting us fast pass line people through, the guy over there throwing a literal fit because he'd been in line for 4 hours. And here we were just walking through. That level of frustration, I feel like, is being eliminated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I appreciate that, because not every, and the other thing that I keep in mind is that the people that come every 5 years or every year or whatever, the typical family is not like us. And they don't research everything. They don't know everything. How many times have we walked through the parks and had a cast member going, that's the fast pass lane. You are welcome to use up to 3 a day, blah, 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 you know, who just don't know how Disney works.
Yeah.
And it almost, I feel like, again, eliminates a step of planning. And I appreciate that too. Because it's all day of.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
So I feel like, yeah, sure, Disney's a business and they're going to capitalize on the pandemic and being able to maximize their profits after having been closed for so long and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like ultimately it's going to end up in a better park experience for everybody if they were going to bring back Fast Pass at all. Like, this was the optimal way to do it.
Yeah, like best case scenario, Fast Pass Lightning Lane would be gone.
Right.
Like, it wouldn't exist at all.
Yeah. Because we've seen it without Fast Pass through a very busy season.
Mm-hmm.
Like last Christmas, we saw Disney existed without Fast Pass. This summer, Disney existed without Fast Pass.
Mm-hmm.
We went this weekend, or by the time y'all see this video, weeks ago, on the 50th anniversary, no Fast Pass. And it was an incredibly pleasant experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, optimal situation it would have been it never came back at all. But then what would they do with all those queues?
Yeah.
Just continue using it for disability access, I suppose, and rider swap. But
that's true.
Yeah, so long story short, I'm not upset.
Yeah. The only way that I would be, that my attitude would change, is if they did kind of like the Universal model, and if you stayed at a deluxe resort and it was included in your stay. Because that would make it a little bit more worth it, because we very rarely, I've never stayed deluxe without renting DVC.
Right.
Because I'm not paying $600 a night for a deluxe resort.
Right.
Like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to stay at a moderate or a value, or I'm going to stay off property, or I'm going to rent DVC. Like, you know, so if it was included in that, I might consider renting or staying through Disney.
But not at its current price point. Because the only way that makes sense for a family of 4 at Universal is that if I'm already going to be spending $600 extra a day for Universal for the Express Pass for a family of 4, I might as well stay deluxe.
Yeah.
Right? But if it's only $60 extra per day, that, to me, including it with deluxe, is a point where you're rewarding the people who can spend more money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That to me.
But it would add value to
staying deluxe.
But
who can afford to stay deluxe?
Yeah.
Because like you just said, you're not willing to spend $600 a night.
Yeah.
You know, but you're like, well, but if I got a $60 thing free, would I?
That's true. Yeah.
I think that does have some equality disparity right there.
Yeah.
But
why does it work at Universal?
Because their
Express Pass is so expensive.
So much more expensive.
Yeah.
That you're like, okay, well, if I'm already gonna stay on property and spend $200 a night, I might as well spend $500 a night and get it. Almost balances it out. Right. Again, I'm thinking family of 4.
Right.
You know, not a couple.
Yeah.
Because then the price doesn't equal out quite as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, people already get so upset that if deluxe people get things.
Yeah, I think there's going to be arguments for either side.
Yeah. I'm really curious to hear y'all's thoughts on Genie Plus.
Yeah.
Are you going to pay for it at all? Are you going to see how it all plays out? I'm kind of a see how it all plays out kind of girl. Obviously, I'm not going to be there October 19th, so I don't know what's going to happen or what has happened if this video comes out later. But, you know, when we go in December.
Yeah. We'll just have to watch the wait times and see, because if the wait times start to spike up, we'll know that it's because of Genie Plus.
Right, exactly. Because there's a full month of, like, slow time between when it launches and Thanksgiving
Yeah.
crowds. So yeah, that'll be a very good indicator as to whether or not it's actually benefiting people in the parks.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Like I said, I will likely splurge in December for Rise just for mom and dad's comfort. But, you know, $60 one day, because it will probably be a $15 ride all the time.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But again, just so that my parents don't have to stand in that line for so long. But anyway, we'll see how it all plays out. Again, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.